back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Tita's Pageantry, and for this episode, I will be bringing you my top picks for the best Binibining Pilipinas portraits for 2023. So please make sure you stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. Malapit na tayo mag-50 mil, guys. So it's good to be back. I am actually quite hustling because I've been very busy this week. In fact, for this episode, I was supposed to have Sir Jason Cappuccino of Sashes and Scripts as my guest. We were out earlier. We were out covering an event, and then I thought about doing like a mini sesh with him, but yeah, plans change, so I'm doing this one for you right now. Now, I know that a lot of you are really very interested with what's been happening at Miss Universe Philippines, but I won't be covering this up until tomorrow because tomorrow is February 17th and that's supposed to be the last day of submission. So if I'm being very honest with you, it's pretty underwhelming for Miss Universe Philippines. In fact, apart from about 3 or 4 notable girls, there really aren't a lot to look forward to. But I'm just hoping that's just bad styling or bad lighting. But let's see by tomorrow if we will get to hear more recognizable names. So I want to move on to Binibining Pilipinas because they recently released the official photos of the girls wearing yellow, the Binibini t-shirt. Now, I feel like this is also very interesting for Binibining Pilipinas, knowing, of course, that for now, at least for now, they have 2 crowns, Miss Globe and Miss International. Mutianong Pilipinas recently announced their acquisition or reacquisition of Miss Intercontinental, so that's no longer with Binibining Pilipinas, but I am honestly hoping that somewhere along the way, since the finals for Binibini won't be until May 7th, unless there will be movements, I'm hoping that around summer, they'll start making announcements of, I don't know, some new franchise acquisitions. Because, you know, as much as we're rallying for Binibining Pilipinas because we've been fans for so long, I also feel like, yeah, there's that pinch of just having 2 titles for the Philippines' most prestigious beauty pageant. So I hope that we'll have more for Binibining Pilipinas, although they did mention that they're preparing for their 60th year. There was a bit of a confusion whether this year is the 60th or the 59th, but apparently this was cleared by the insiders from Binibining Pilipinas because they skipped an edition. It's going to be considered as their 59th year. So we were all thinking, they're celebrating their 60th year, so, you know, they might have something in the works. But I don't know, maybe they don't. Maybe it'll be for next year. Maybe let's say hi to Madam Gizmo, who's been very at home lately. So yeah, it's the 59th year of Binibining Pilipinas, not the 60th. So I don't know. I'm still hoping for new physical crowns. I'm still hoping for newer titles to come in, but it kind of doesn't matter. The Binibinis are still fighting. They're still beautiful. It's still a pretty good batch. Not the tallest batch, but it's still a pretty good batch considering that a lot of them are very Filipino looking. And mind you, this is, again, a very interesting edition for Binibining Pilipinas because out of the 40 girls, you guys, only 1 returned as a former Binibini. So we are definitely dealing with new names, new faces. A lot of the folks on my list, I don't even really know, but I'm really excited to cover Binibining Pilipinas extensively and get to know them to the point of memorizing their names come the Parade of Beauties. So let's move on to the official portraits because these were published in batches. Again, before I delve into my list, let me address the elephant in the room. I'm not the only one, of course, who have noticed the heavy Photoshop work that was employed to make all of these women beautiful. But I will say, because this has been a practice for quite some time now, since a lot of these images are heavily edited, of course, they were presented in their most perfect form. So if it were just up to me, I think that this list would have been a lot longer, but I trimmed it down to 20. That was how good the Photoshop work was. Yeah, because, if somebody else is going to be Photoshopping my image, I would rather be Photoshopped at my best rather than present myself as someone who hasn't been processed, looking all natural, looking subpar compared to my other competitors. So I'm glad that, they all look really amazing. Now, if that's budol in some way, that's a challenge actually for the girls and their handlers and their glam team to try and match what they look like in the photos, maybe in real life, or maybe with their fitness and form to try and emulate what was fixed in those photos, and then I don't know, maybe do something more with their actual fitness. So yeah, I have 20 girls on my list. Let me just go ahead and give you my favorites briefly. I'm going to start with my number 20. I ranked them for you so you'll know who my favorites are. But for number 20, I am giving this to someone really new, someone I have no idea existed. She is Lorraine Hara of Bulacan. But I did put her on my list because when I checked on her real photos from her socials, I found out that she had a facial feature that was more angular, that had more points, if that even made sense. I think she has like pointy eyes and a pointy nose. So I put her in my number 20 spot because I feel that they softened her features. That's really good. Number 19, I'm going to have Kiara Gregorio on my list. Now, Kiara is representing Cabanatuan Nueva Ecija, and she would have figured higher in my list if it were a different styling. I thought that she had a really nice photo. It's very tricky for Kiara's face to have a hairstyle this way because she has a rounded face. But in this photo, they managed to give her more cheekbones. They managed to give her face more dimension because she does have a very distinctly round or oval face. So when you put her hair in a bun or if you put her hair in a ponytail, that's just what you'll see. So I'm glad that the angle and her pose was centered on her face, but then it showed a different dimension. It wasn't all rounded. It wasn't all curved. Number 18 on my list is Charmaine Magdasok. Charmaine is representing Ortigas Pasig, and even before this official photo, I would see Charmaine's photo out there posted by the other admins. I'm actually quite glad that what she looked like in the photos that were posted before and her photo right now pretty much matches. Number 17 for me is Jessilyn Salvador. She is, of course, the sister of Maha Salvador. She is representing Aklan. Now, what I really like about this photo, of course, the Salvador sisters, I think that they have this quiet Filipina beauty. I think that, even before Maha became famous, a lot of us have already commented on just that simple Filipina beauty, very fresh looking. I think Jessilyn also has the same vibe. But what I loved about this photo of her is that she's the duskier version, and when you look at the whole photo, it kind of brings you back to Charmaine Elima, one of my favorite Binibinis, who recently got engaged. So yeah, we won't be seeing her very soon. So it was really nice to see Jessilyn look like that because, again, it reminded me of the beautiful Charmaine Elima. Number 16, I am again going to give this to a new face, a fresh face. She is Jean Isabel Bilasano, representing Albay. If you hear someone meowing who seems like she's been smoking 10 cigarettes a day, that's definitely the small one. She has a habit of screaming these days, and yeah. Anyway, going back to Jean Isabel, I love the face. It's a very fresh approach to a beauty pageantry face. I will, however, say that as much as I would love to pull her a little upwards in terms of my list, I feel that the hair is just a little dated and the pose is also just a little tentative. I wish that she had a more powerful pose, or that she didn't put her hand at the back that way, because I'm really keen on hand positioning. So it just wasn't as elegant looking as I would have wanted to, but really pretty face. Next, number 15, I will be giving this to another pretty girl. Her name is Rasha Cortez Alenzi. She is representing Urdaneta, Pangasinan. Now, she was the one with her back facing the camera with just her chin and her jawline. I thought that the face really served. I didn't mind the pose, that back pose, because I think the composition was just really nicely done. Number 14 for me is Lyra Punsalan. She looks really bagets and again, really fresh as well. I would have also propelled her a little higher up my list, but I will say that a lot of these girls kind of went crazy with their contacts, and Lyra was one of those. Really pretty, really fresh with the styling. I wish that they could have gone easy with the contacts. Number 13, I'm happily surprised to have her on my list, but I thought that she had a really good photo as well. Maybe the pose could have been more powerful, could have had more direction, but I really like the photo of Joy Dacoron. I know that she is an athlete. She's a volleyball player from the province of Cebu. Now, when you look at her, and if you just zero in on the face, because the pose is just also a little tentative for me, but if you zero in on the face, it's like a combination of Jane De Leon from Darna and one of my favorite faces in pageantry, Sharifa Akil. So yeah, you can just look at the two photos I'll be flashing and you'll get what I mean. Number 12 for me, I am going to be giving this to another beauty. This one is from Rojas City. Her name is Julia Mendoza. Now, Julia Mendoza's photo, let me just point it out because it's just so stark. Her head, I feel, is a little bigger than her body. I don't know if these are her actual proportions or if there were some Photoshop work that went wrong, but I totally scrapped the body part and just focused on the face because the face was really serving for me. And if I may, she does have that exotic, that dusky exotic vibe to her that I wish she would explore a little bit more. I know her from her Century Superbod stint. So we know that there's something underneath that. We know that she's a body girl. I'm really glad that we're seeing more of her as a face girl. Number 11 for me is also very interesting. I have Yesli Cabaños of Caloocan. Now, I think Yesli is one of the tallest in this competition, if I'm not mistaken. But if you look at her photo, and I'm sure you're going to get the reference, she reminds me of a dusky Vicky Rushton. Maybe in, you know, her whole being, she doesn't look like a Vicky Rushton, but for that particular photo, I thought that I had to take a second look and see, is this Vicky who just tanned a little more? But yeah, there's a little Vicky Rushton going on. And maybe because we just missed Vicky Rushton. Number 10, I'll be giving this one to Paulina Labayo. She is, of course, representing Naga City, Bicol. But I could not help but notice her semblance to Gal Gadot. Very beautiful. Like, if you look at her other photos, you'll definitely see it. Number 9 for me, I am so happy to have her on my list. She is, of course, Gianna Llanes from Palayan, Nueva Ecija. Now, I know it's a little tricky for Gianna as well because if you look at her, she seems like your typical morena beauty. But when you look at her in person, her skin tone is just nowhere near morena. So it's a little confusing with the way she would also register on videos as well as in photos. But I like this. She looks mabango. She looks in control. We've seen Gianna before with her other pageant stints. So I'm glad that she was able to take in a lot of those posing lessons and a lot of the lessons she learned from pageantry photos, and she was able to apply those moves in this photo. Next, I am also quite happy to see her on my list. She is Andrea Sulangi from Morong, Bataan. Of course, we know Andrea as a crossover from Miss World Philippines, and it's really nice to see her back because I'm looking at the shot. It feels like an action shot. Like, it feels like a moment was captured from, you know, a moving picture. So I like the wind in the hair. Number 7, we have Zia Pala of Tarlac. Very beautiful. She's giving me Samantha Bernardo vibes. I mean, I kind of wish that MGI was still with BBP so that we could send her pronto, but she does have that very Samantha Bernardo thing going on. I will say that I am a little crazy about, well, overall, I'm a little crazy about their hair. Like, I feel like it's so done, it's so curled, it's so structured. So I don't know if it was their own styling, or this was a result of the Photoshop work. I just felt that the hair was just a little too crispy for me. Next, so I'm really glad about this because I thought that she had a really, really good photo for the Binibining Pilipinas official portrait. I'm talking about Parañaque's Aliyah Estores. Now, I remember when I interviewed Aliyah, she was really emotional because she didn't initially make the first cut, the first 35. And this was her second time. She applied for Binibini last year and she didn't make it. This was her second time, and supposedly, she wasn't supposed to make it this year. If she can continue with this styling and be, really careful with her cheeks and the fullness of her cheeks, and maybe do more practice with contouring and come up with a look that's very similar to this official portrait, we're good to go. Number 5 for me, I am really happy to include Leia Macapagal, only because I've followed Leia's pageant career very, very early on. She was at Miss Earth Philippines, and then she moved on to Miss World Philippines. And although Leia's name would surface every now and then, she was not really considered a heavy favorite in both those previous stints. So it's really nice to see her happy, see her take charge. And even with her styling for this photo shoot, she was really hands-on. She really took the best team. It's a little tricky when you pick a team for at least your makeup, because not all of these talented makeup artists are a good match. That's why it's really tricky to find a makeup artist that's a good match for you. And I think that Leia this year got hold of a really good team who could do her makeup and do her hair to her liking and still make her look really polished. And I think that this photo was just proof of what a good team can really do and what a good mindset can really do for you in a photo shoot. Number 4, I will be giving this to Trisha Martinez. She's one of the more recognized girls in this competition, and I picked her photo because she doesn't look like a princess for the first time. I know that they have been packaging her for Miss International, and I have been advising her styling team to just tone it down, give her a wardrobe that would make her look even taller, make her look even polished, not a princessita type. That's why I really like this photo, because for once, she actually kinda is giving me a very Charlene Gonzalez vibe, or even Atasha, the younger Gonzalez, the younger Mulak. So she does have like the same facial structure, the same height, maybe the same vibe with the hair. So kudos also for sporting straight hair this time. It's less dressy, more casual, more vibrant. So yeah, go for it, Trisha. Number 3 is a definite pro. I will only say good things about this photo. I am talking about Angelica Lopez. She has been very consistent in this competition. I think it's safe to say that she's one of the heavy favorites this competition, but at least on the visual end of things, she's doing her best. I haven't really seen a misstep for Angelica Lopez. That pose is really good. It really shows her curves, and it really shows what she's all about. She's all about attitude. She's all about body. She's all about power. So good for Angelica Lopez. Number 2 is a favorite amongst our commenters at Titas of Pageantry, Rima Adakoden, of course. She has been very consistent as well. Her photos, it sparks joy. Like, I like a lot of her photos because a lot of her photos show her smiling, shows that beautiful teeth, beautiful coloring as well. A lot of people are comparing her photo at the Binibining Pilipinas official photo shoot to that of MJ Lastimosa from back in the day, because I remember MJ when she was competing at Miss Universe, produced some of the iconic beauty pageant images that we have right now. So it's the hair, it's the way she projected, it's her pose. It does have a very Fadil Berisha photo shoot feels. And my number one is another favorite. I honestly think that she delivered. My only concern was that crispy hair, but you know, if you remove the hair or, you know, put it differently or styled it differently, the result will still be the same. And I will be giving my number one spot to another Morena from Pampanga. She is, of course, Miriam Hipolito. I thought that this was a really good photo. You know, if you remove her dress or maybe just cut out her head and paste it on someone else, she is honestly giving me Lara Kigaman vibes. And I like the faraway look from this photo. I mean, it's not staring directly at the barrel or not staring directly at the lens, but I like the mysterious look on this. The color is amazing. I think that we have a melanin party for this edition, and she is definitely one of the leaders of the melanin girls, of the brown girls this competition. So there you have it, guys. I know that I have given you a generous list, and I actually removed some girls so that I could come up with 20. So if it were just up to me, there were more girls on this list. So I will be seeing you very soon. I am going to wait for Saturday for the screening of Miss Universe Philippines. But of course, if I am unable to give you content on that, I will definitely see you on Sunday. So goodbye, you guys. Thanks.